Have you ever waited at a crossing while a mile of freight cars sat completely still? Watch the locomotive start pulling and then notice the strangest thing? The front of the train is already rolling. The back hasn't moved an inch. If that same 3-mile train tried to start all at once, as one rigid unit, it wouldn't glide forward. It would tear itself apart in seconds. So, how does it actually get moving without snapping every connection down the line? Where we uncover the hidden science and surprising logic behind everyday things. Let's find out why. Here's something that sounds unbelievable today. Before the 1870s, connecting two freight cars meant a worker standing directly between them, timing the moment perfectly, and dropping a metal pin into place by hand as the cars came together. Get the timing wrong, even slightly, and there was nowhere to go. Coupling accidents made up close to 40% of all yard injuries in that era. Crushed hands and missing fingers were common enough that crews recognized each other by the damage. A man named Eli Janney, working a desk job far from railroading, spent his lunch breaks near a rail yard thinking about a better way. He whittled a small wooden model of a coupler that could lock automatically the instant two cars touched, no one standing in the gap, no hand on a pin. It took 2 decades and a federal law, the Safety Appliance Act of 1893, before every freight car in the country was required to use it. Within a decade, coupling injuries fell from over 11,000 a year to roughly 2,000 even as the railroads kept growing. What nobody realized yet was that this safer coupler had quietly created something else entirely, something that would matter more with every mile a train got longer, to lock and unlock smoothly, and to flex slightly as a train curves through a bend. Every coupler needed a small amount of built-in looseness. Not a flaw, a requirement. On its own, that gap is tiny, around 3/4 of an inch per coupler, barely enough to notice with your hand. But stretch that same small gap across 100 cars, one after another, and it adds up to several feet of total slack running the length of the train. Think of it the way a long line of shopping carts behaves when you push the front one. The first cart moves immediately, but there's a small delay before the second one catches up, then the third, then the fourth, each one waiting its turn before it starts rolling too. A freight train works the same way, just stretched out across 3 miles instead of 10 feet. Wait, it gets even stranger, because managing that wave badly can be genuinely dangerous. If a locomotive engineer pushes the throttle forward too aggressively, the pull outruns what the built-in slack can safely absorb. Forces at individual couplers can spike above 200,000 pounds, enough to snap a knuckle outright, or violently yank a car sideways hard enough to derail it on a curve. That's why engineers apply power in small increments, 1 notch at a time, pausing several seconds between each one, giving the wave time to finish traveling before adding more force behind it. It's a similar instinct to rocking a stalled car free. Instead of shoving it with everything at once, a gradual build works, a sudden shove doesn't. Hills complicate it further. A train stopped partway up a slope can have cars on the downhill side actually rolling backward into their own slack, while the front is still trying to pull forward. Experienced engineers sometimes back the train up slightly first, gathering all that slack into one predictable direction before ever attempting to move ahead. So why not just build tighter couplers and remove the whole problem? Passenger trains actually did exactly that. Since the 1940s, their couplers have locked snug the instant 2 cars touch, with almost no play at all, which is why a passenger train departs a station feeling like one smooth, continuous machine. Try that same design on a loaded freight train, and the very first coupler would take the full, instant shock of accelerating thousands of tons from a dead stop. It would fail before the train moved a single foot. The looseness that makes a freight train sound rough and staggered at every crossing isn't a design shortcoming engineers never got around to fixing. It's the entire reason the train can start at all. Next time you're stopped at a crossing and hear that slow, clanking wave roll from the front of a freight train toward the back, you'll know exactly what you're listening to. Not hesitation. Just 100 small, quiet compromises, each one doing its job so the whole train can move without tearing itself apart.